Good evening. On behalf of the staff and administration of the Valley Stream Central High School District, we would like to thank you for attending tonight's Parent Support Forum, eSchool Parent Portal Training, presented by me, Kelly Whitney Rivera, District Director of Guidance. The Valley Stream Central High School District recognizes the difficulties that parents, students, families, and staff have endured since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in March and throughout the 2020-2021 school year. In the remote and hybrid context that we all now live in, it is more important than ever for you to be able to access and navigate the eSchool Parent Portal to support your child and ensure their academic success. Therefore, the purpose of tonight's presentation is to walk you through how to create, access, and navigate the Parent Portal. Joining us tonight are several members of the district PPS staff and district administration. From Memorial Junior High School, we have school counselor, Ms. Alexandra Panos.
Hi, good afternoon. Oh, actually, good evening. Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us tonight.
From Central High School, we have school counselor, Ms. Samantha Cipriano.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to have everyone here.
From North High School, we have school psychologist, Ms. Georgianne Christensen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
From South High School, we have school psychologist, Ms. Regina Vizone.
Good evening, everyone.
From District Office, we have Director of Instruction and Curriculum, Dr. Jennifer DeMeo.
Happy New Year, and thank you for being here with us.
And we also have Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Curriculum, Mr. Christian Bowen.
Thank you for joining us.
During the presentation, we will not be able to see or hear you, so it is important for you to use the chat box to ask us any questions that you may have throughout the presentation. To do this, if you move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, a toolbar will show up. You will need to click on the icon that looks like a single one conversation bubble labeled chat. If you click on it, your chat box will open. Simply type your questions in the chat box and we will respond by either typing back or verbally answering your questions throughout the presentation. We will also leave time at the end of the presentation to answer any additional questions that you may have. For those of you that have been able to join us for the previous 4 parent support forums, I thank you. If you are unable to join us, I would like to remind you that you can access the recordings and PowerPoint presentations for all parent support forums on the district website under the Parent Student tab by using the link at the bottom of the drop-down menu entitled Parent Support Forums. As always, we hope that you enjoy tonight's webinar and are thankful for your partnership with the Valley Stream Central High School District in ensuring your child's academic and social emotional success, as well as their college career readiness. Should you or your child need assistance in any way, please reach out to someone in the Pupil Personnel Services Department at your child's school. So in order to get started, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to jump right into the presentation. Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So I don't know about you guys, but when I am trying to learn something, it is easier for me to work while I'm learning it. So on the screen now, if you have a regular PC, you're going to see a picture of a keyboard. To do this, what I want you to do, you can split your screen so that you can see the webinar and then you can also work on another web page. So you will need to open another browser on your computer screen. And to split your screen, you'll click on the window key and the left or right arrow. When you do that, you'll see that your screen splits and you have 2 sides. If you're working on a Mac, that little green button on the top left-hand corner, you're gonna click on that and you'll see the windows kind of shift. And then you'll select the one you want to work side by side with. I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds to get that set up and then I will move on.
Kelly, there's a question about interpretation. There's no chat to text enabled on the webinar for tonight, right?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Do you know if there's a way to open that? I don't have anything enabled. And you cannot split the screen on a phone. So if not, you can just follow along. And as I said earlier, the PowerPoint will be available to you guys, so you can use at a later date to walk you through the steps. Okay, so where to start? One of the biggest issues that I find we have or parents face when trying to log on to eSchool is that they don't end up on the right site. They go in, they Google eSchool, and they end up on a corporate site with a company that has schools all across the world. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you use the Valley Stream Central High School District website. When you get the copy of the presentation that's hyperlinked here, otherwise, you're going to type in www.vschsd.org. And when you enter it, you should say this. Now, if you notice, when you're on the district's website, you have all these tabs up here, but you also have a huge column of resources here. One thing I want to point out is that school reopening. So all information having to do with anything, day schedules, bell schedules, reopening, you'll find that there. But for tonight, you're going to go and click on the parent student portal. When you click on that, you'll get this, and you'll see there's a parent portal access or there's a student portal access. For tonight, you're going to click on parent portal access. All right, you should be looking at a screen that looks like this. You're going to notice on this screen in eSchool that you can change the language. It's going to be a lot of the pre-typed in screens that will have the language changed. So you can change your language. If you forgot your password, according to eSchool, they swear that when you click on this, this works. I'm not so sure. We're looking into making sure it is enabled, but I was promised that it is up and working. If not, you can always reach out to your school guidance department and they can help you out with a forgotten password. And if you don't have an account, there's an online registration. So what we're going to actually do first, for those of you who have not yet created your account, I'm going to walk you through the steps of creating an online eSchool account. So please click on that online registration. And you should see a screen that looks like this. So the first screen is going to talk about account information. You're going to type in the school district. When you start typing in Valley Stream, you're going to see that multiple Valley Streams come up. You want to select the one that's the Central High School District. It says CHSD. So once you start typing that, you'll see it pops up. You're going to select that. Then you're going to go to the next box and you're going to type in the ID that you want to use to sign into the portal. Please make sure it's an ID that you will remember. I often recommend you use your email address. You don't have to. If you previously had an email account, if you previously had an eSchool account at the elementary district, you cannot use the same email account to create this parent portal account. You need to use a different email account. When you go through the steps, it's going to tell you the account is already being used. While we are separate districts and we're one and the same under the same Valley Stream umbrella, eSchool doesn't differentiate that. So it views it as different, different accounts, different systems, and it will say that you can't use somebody else's email address that's already in use. So you're going to type in your username and you're going to type in the email address that you want to link this account to. Then you're going to type in the email address again and enter a password. You need a minimum of 6 characters with at least one number in your password. You will confirm your password, type it twice. You will select an authentication question and put in your answer. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And then once you finish that, you're going to click the button on the right that says Create Account Information. Hopefully you don't get any errors that pop up. Like I said to you, a common one that we see is that the email account's already being used. You may already have an account and not have to create a new account. So, you can watch this, but you shouldn't be creating a new one if you know you have one. Then you should have this screen that pops up. This is going to be your information. You're going to put your first name, your middle name, your last name, street address, apartment, city, state, all that information, and phone number. While you guys are entering that, I see I have a question. I had set up my account previously and it said user login failed. You've exceeded maximum number of attempts. That means that you either were not entering the correct username or password, or it could have been that you were on the wrong website if you didn't use the Valley Stream website. If you did use the Valley Stream website, then you probably are going to need your password reset. And you can reach out to your child's guidance department to have them do that, and they can reset it so that you can get in.
Ms. Rivera, if I forget to go through the Valley Stream website, can I just Google eSchool and go to any link?
You can, but when you go to enter your information, what's going to happen is they're going to tell you that you're entering the wrong username or password. So you're not going to be able to actually get in, and then it's going to tell you you're logged out of your account. And then you're going to call the building, and the building is going to say, you're not locked out because you've been using the wrong email account. You've been using the wrong eSchool account. So that's why you want to make sure. You also will find if you just Googled it and you're trying to set up the account, you won't be able to attach a student to you because the student won't be in the whatever random site you ended up on. So you want to make sure that you use the Valley Stream District one. Okay. Once you have all this information filled in, you're going to click Create Account Information. And then the next part is going to talk about your student information. So that's where we said to you, you should have your child's student ID with you. You're going to put their student ID in the ID number box. You're going to pick from, you put their first name, their last name. You're going to select the school that they attend and the grade. You're going to add your student, as you're selecting the school, you're going to add the student, and you're going to finalize your registration. At that point, your account should be set up. And we're going to log in using the username and password that you just created. If you already have an account, you're just going to type in your username and your password, and you're going to log in. Okay, if you somehow didn't get the sign-on page or lost that link, you can go back to the Valley Stream website, www.vschsd.org. Scroll down and click Parent Student eSchool Portal. Click Parent Portal, and you'll be taken back to the sign-in screen. Oftentimes when you log in, it's going to ask you to verify your information. Depending on the browser that you use, it doesn't read it. So the eSchool works best with Chrome. If you log in on Safari or Firefox, a lot of times parents will report, I logged in and I got nothing but a blank screen. That's because you have to verify your information. So if you've created your account new or you haven't logged onto your account in a while, you may be asked to verify your information. So you're just going to scroll down to the bottom. You should see a screen with all your information. You'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. You click the box in the right-hand lower corner that says verify. And then you should, at that point, be directed to your home screen. Now, this is a sample school information. This is not real student information that you guys are looking at. If you are doing this with us, you should see some similar information. As you'll notice, if you have multiple children in the district, that's the high school district, you will be able to have all of them connected to your account, okay? As we have announcements, sometimes you'll see that there are actual announcements listed right here on that homepage. And sometimes that we can even upload documents that you can download and be able to print out. Do we have any questions about the homepage or kind of getting in? Okay, LaShonda, you raised your hand, LaShonda Howard, but I can't, you have to type in the chat if you have a question, I'm sorry. Okay. Once we go to click into the detailed information, you're gonna pick one of your students. So on this one, we're gonna pick sample student Ann's ID number. And when you click on the actual ID number, you're going to see the profile page. Now you'll notice if you're in your actual child's account, if you're in your parent portal account, there's a lot of information on this page. There should be a picture of your child in this white box here that's got nothing. You'll have their name, their grade, the email address that they have for the school, and any custom indicators that are assigned to your child. You're also going to notice that you have these two boxes. Your boxes probably are not checked off right now. More than likely, they're just a plain white square box. If you click on them, you'll see that district events and school level events will pop up on the calendar. You'll be able to see assignments that your child has due on that calendar. You also can change your month. So I know oftentimes we get emails about the hybrid day schedule, which day is which for each month. And while we posted on the district website under that resource tab that I showed you earlier, a lot of times you need more notice and you need to plan ahead. This calendar will enable you to do that. So if you look at these dots, the orange dot is for our fully remote students. Since they are remote every day, you'll notice there's an orange dot on every day of the month. Our blue dot is cohort A, which are students with the last name A to L. Your green dot is cohort B, which are students with the last name M to Z. So if you look at Monday, November 2nd, we had cohort B in school, cohort A was home and remote, along with all of our remote students. On Tuesday, November 3rd, all students were remote, so every group was remote. You'll also notice that we have the day one, the day one, the day two, the day two. So you'll be able to tell which day of the cycle it is, as well as which group is in person or remote. Are there any questions about this calendar? If you have the user account you're trying to access is pending review, what that means is that you've created an account and the school hasn't gone in and accepted you. I would reach out to your child's guidance department and let them know that you had created an eSchool account and you need them to accept it. Sometimes there are issues with it, or they may not realize that they have accounts pending. More often we see at the beginning of the year accounts pending, so they check it regularly. As we get further into the year, they don't check it as regularly. So if you reach out to your child's guidance department, they will be able to approve your account, and this way you'll be able to get into your account. Okay. On the top, you're going to see that there is a toolbar, and it's got profile. I want to say, I think the next one is schedule. I'm totally off memory here. You'll click those tabs. I'm sorry, it was attendance. You're going to click on that tab and it's going to change your screen. So this attendance screen, if you look, you'll see any day that your child has some type of absence recorded is going to show up And it's going to show you exactly what period that child was marked absent for. And it's going to let you know if it was excused or unexcused. So that absence with the asterisk is an unexcused. The absence E is excused, and it'll give you in parentheses what the excuse is. Now, if you scroll down, I don't have it in my screenshot, but if you're looking at it on the bottom here, you have a key that tells you what all of the letters stand for. So the AE is absence excused, AU is absent unexcused, TE is tardy excused, TU is tardy unexcused, and I don't know what the bottom one is. Any questions about the attendance here? And they're going to give you on the bottom here, you'll see they give you kind of a tally for the totals. And you also have here any days that your child was completely marked absence. Just so you are aware, and I think most families are, if your child is scheduled to be in school, but they do not physically come into the building and they log on remotely, they are marked absent. It counts as a present, but they are marked absent because they were present remotely and not in person. We've done this because we found that there were students who were staying home and not letting their parents know they were doing this, and parents were not aware that their child, in fact, had not gone to school because parents were going to work. So we did this as a way for you to be able to tell if your child is really going to school on the days they're supposed to be going.
Ms. Rivera, there's just a question about an account not being approved. Should the parent contact the guidance department of the school?
Yes. So if they got that, if they're waiting for it to be approved and it hasn't been yet, they can reach out. And if they got a message saying that the account was not approved, they also want to reach out. Sometimes you don't realize you have an account, so you create a second account. And what they'll do is they won't approve that second account because you already have an account. So your best bet on that is to reach out to the individual account. And yes, you can have separate accounts, one for you and one for your husband. So that you can go on, you'll use different email addresses, put in each of your personal information, and you'll attach your child. You all need to use that student ID to attach them to your account. Are there any other questions that we have right now? I know this is a lot of information, which is why, lucky for you, there'll be a recording of this that you can kind of go through if you want. There'll also be the PowerPoint on the website. And for some of you, you're able to kind of go through this with us now. And if I'm going too fast, put it in the chat and I'll slow down. After an account is approved, you'll get a notification that it's approved, and then you just log in. So you would go to the district website, you would go to the parent portal, and you'd log into your account using the username and password that you created. I recommend, if you want, to drag that website down to your toolbar so that you have it bookmarked. So you don't have to constantly go through the district website. You can bookmark the correct site in your browser, so it's a little bit easier to access each time you want to log on. All right, the next tab we have is going to be the schedule. So one thing that I do want to point out to you on all of these tabs, specifically the schedule, transcript, report cards, and assessment, on the right-hand corner, you're going to see that there's an icon that allows you to print. So you can print out a copy of your child's schedule. You can print out a copy of the transcript. It wouldn't be an official transcript, but this way you have a paper copy. You can also print out a copy of the report card. AE code GC, I believe, means that they were with the guidance counselor. They were absent excused because they were in the guidance office for a meeting. So if you aren't aware that they had a meeting, or you're a little concerned about why they're missing social studies and in the counselor's office, you can always reach out to your child's counselor, and they can maybe give you a little bit more information. And absolutely, it can accidentally happen to be marked in a period. Of course it can, because people that are marking your child absent are people, and people sometimes make mistakes. So if you think that your child was really there, email the teacher, ask them, say, I noticed that my child was marked absent in your class. I know that he or she had been marked present in other classes. Did he or she not attend your class? And are they, cutting class and I need to speak to them? Or, was it maybe a mistake? Especially when teachers are looking at kids that are in person and remote, it's definitely possible to accidentally mark a student absent that may not be. Okay. Next, we have your transcript. So I'm sorry, next we have a schedule. The schedule, you'll notice on this, I have it blocked off. When you're looking at your child's schedule, it lists the fall and spring schedule, so fall and spring semesters. It lists the days, so if they have the class day 1 and 2, or just day 1, or just day 2, right? So here is a physics class with a physics lab and their gym, their physical education, right? Movement 3. Right, that's phys ed, that's phys ed, yeah, it's the dance, okay. You'll see what period they have it, what room they have that course in, the course number, the course, the section that they're in, which really isn't really important for you. It's just extra information. And in this box, you'll have the teacher's name and a link for their email address. You can either copy and paste that link into your email browser, or you can click directly on it and it will open your email browser so that you can immediately send an email to that teacher. The date that you see there are the dates that the child was enrolled in the course. So that's what that date is. You can print this out and you'll notice any changes on it, but this will give you an overview on the days. The period bell schedule actually is on the district website under school reopening. There is a list of the bell schedule for in-person and hybrid learning. Most periods are, and please correct me here, guys, I believe 43 minutes each with 3 minutes in between or 5 minutes in between.
Classes are 41 minutes with a 4-minute passing time. The online portion of the classes, the live instruction period is 30 minutes, beginning at 8 o'clock with 15-minute breaks in between for the online students. And the students in person during those additional 11 minutes are working with their teachers, receiving any individual help that they might need. They're not moving forward instruction.
Thank you. All right, so that's our schedule. The next tab we have is transcript. So your transcript's going to have your information. Transcripts are posted for all grades, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 9th grade is typically not posted until after the end of the second marking period. Okay, so right now, if you have a 9th grade and you look at the transcripts, more than likely there is not a transcript there that's posted. 12th graders, your transcript is posted in the fall so that you have an idea when you're looking at your colleges, what your grades are, how many credits you have, what your overall GPA is, where your region scores are at. And then another one will be posted mid-year that'll be sent to your colleges along with a final transcript that's sent at the end of the school year. For 11th grade, same thing, it'll be posted. And I believe the one that they do post for your end of your 11th grade and beginning of 12th grade, as well as the mid-year, has your class rank on it. If you print this out, it does not count as an official transcript. You can use it, if you go see a school, you visit somebody, or if you're doing a correspondence email-wise, because a lot of the stuff now is virtual, but it does not count as an official transcript. So your official transcripts are sent by the school after you fill out a transcript request form. But this is an idea of what a transcript is going to look like, and you can print that out. This is your report card. We used to have a tab for progress reports. We now are not doing the progress reports. You can actually log on into the gradebook, and we'll look at that in a few minutes, and see a live record of how your child's doing. Which is why we've kind of gotten rid of that progress report, because it's a snapshot and it's not the most accurate, and it's a lot easier if you're going on regularly to kind of see where your child's falling. Your report card has their course, comments, their marking period 1 grade, and as the year goes on, they'll have marking period 2, 3, 4, their midterm, their final exam, their final course grade, absences, tardy, the staff, and then the amount of credits that they've earned. No, you wouldn't have transcripts if your child's in 7th grade. So you're only going to have transcripts if your students are high school age. And your 9th graders, like I said, you're not going to have it probably for another month or two. So this is what your report card looks like. A lot of times, you may need to print out a copy of the report card, whether they're doing intramural sports or they're doing community agencies. There are many reasons people may ask for a copy of the report card. You can print this screen out so you have that copy.
And Kelly, can I just also,
Yeah, go ahead.
for 8th grade students that are in language that's 1.2 level or higher in 8th grade, or if they're in advanced algebra or living environment, that will be on their transcript at the top. That'll be the first part that you see before 9th grade, but that won't run, like Ms. Rivera said, until 9th grade. You'll see that when we do the 9th grade transcript, but it will be there if they are enrolled in those courses.
Thank you, Ms. Panos. Okay, so next we're going to get into that grade book. All right, so when you click on the grade book, you're going to have something that looks like this. You're going to notice first that right here in my top right corner, I have this set to marking period 1. If you are live and looking in your child's grade book, this is set to marking period 2 because we are in marking period 2. So your screen is going to look a little different than mine right now. If you toggle this little corner button, you'll see it drops down and you can select all the marking periods. If you click marking period 1, you'll see it lists all your courses, the teacher, the period, section, semester. If it's, first semester, second semester, full year, if it's got both, the days, tardy, absent. You have a marking period grade, a CMPA, which is your cumulative marking period average, which for this child in marking period 1 is going to be the same as marking period grade 1, and your marking period average, which is a running average that you notice when you look at the final grade has been rounded. Okay. Please remember, whether you're looking at this, well, marking period 1 is passed, so these numbers are set. In our next screen, if you're looking at marking period 2, there is no marking period grade, and these averages are going to change. They may change from day to day as teachers enter grades and update assignments that your child has completed or not completed, that's missing and maybe has a 0, or they give them an extension and they make up, or there's a variety of things that teachers will do throughout the semester, throughout the quarter, to adjust your child's grade. So please know that just because today they have 100, if that teacher then goes in tomorrow and enters a test that happened on Monday, the grade's going to change. You also need to be conscious of giving the teachers a realistic amount of time to kind of mark their papers, right? So if it's English and I've written a 10-page paper, there's no way that the teacher's going to have all 10-page papers collected and marked by the next day, because there's no way that's humanly possible to read that many assignments that quickly and get them updated. So I ask that you are patient with the teachers and give them a reasonable amount of time to update grades. If you go in now and there's no grades from October, that's not reasonable, right? So we want to make sure that you realize these grades are subject to change, and that you realize the teachers do need a reasonable amount of time to mark your child's work. And they do have up to 170 students besides just your student.
Ms. Rivera,
yeah.
There's just another question in the Q&A. So there's no transcript for 7th and 8th graders. There's no transcript for 7th graders, and the 8th grade transcript is produced mid-year or produced at the end of the year?
8th grade transcript, if your child took high school level courses, then they will have those courses recorded on their 9th grade transcript mid-year. The transcript really is more of a document that's used for college applications for high school level courses. Not to say that 7th and 8th grade are not important, nor that they don't count. They set a strong foundation for how your child is going to build habits and routines to continue to keep them successful throughout their time at school. Those report cards are what you're going to look at for that 7th and 8th grade year. When they get to 9th grade, that begins the beginning of their high school career, the beginning of their college applications, the beginning of their permanent record of academics. It'll list clubs and activities they're in, as well as give you grades. So that's why you're not really going to see transcripts until they're in 9th grade. If they're in accelerated classes and they've taken an Algebra 1 or they've taken Living Environment, those grades will show up on their 9th grade transcript, but it'll be under last year. So for example, if I'm a 9th grader right now and my mother pulled up my transcript, under the 2019-2020 school year, it'll list Algebra 1 and Living Environment. And you'll notice due to the pandemic last year, there'll be an E for that exam because everybody was exempted and got credit. Okay, so it'll be on my transcript, but it'll be marked as my 8th grade year. It won't show up until I'm in 9th grade. Okay. Now, when we're looking at this picture, right, and my child has the grades they have, and my child in some classes doesn't have any grades, right? I want to know why. Well, for starters, if I look at this kid, the ones with no grades are clubs and clubs that don't get grades. And then if we click on this left-hand side here on an actual subject, what you'll see is a detailed view of all of the assignments that make up your child's grade in that course. So you can look and say, okay, well, you know, my mom could say, hey, Kelly, you know, what'd you do? You had 100 last month and now you have a 75. And if she clicks on my AP stats, she'll see that I failed my test and my test was weighted heavily, so it dropped my average. Especially if I don't want to tell my mom that I failed my test and I say, oh, I have no idea, Mom. I don't understand. It must be the teacher. She must have put the wrong grade in. She doesn't know what she's doing. This is where you can go to kind of check out those details. You'll notice here, if a teacher puts in a description, you can click on that and it'll give you a description of what the assignment was or what the topic was, so that you really can kind of help advocate for your child when you need to. You can keep track of your child when you need to, and you can kind of walk that fine line of supporting, letting them kind of start to support themselves and getting the truth as to what really is going on, because this is going to give you that detailed look of everything that goes into the assignment. The other thing I do want to say is if you notice something funky here, right? Like there's something missing and you know that your child did that assignment, or there's a low grade and you want to understand why did they get that low grade. The person to reach out to is the classroom teacher. Send them an email. Go back to that schedule page, copy their email and ask them, hey, I was looking on the portal. I noticed that test 1, Kelly got a 64. You know, what'd she do wrong? How can she correct that? You know, is there a way she can do a retest? Is there extra help she needs? Is it gonna come back and bother her later on in the year? It helps you be able to have that relationship with the teacher and kind of get the details without having to play phone tag or waiting to get a hold of each other. This really is a great tool to really kind of get the answers to the questions and kind of see really what's going on. And you know what, if you're going on and you're looking and there are no grades, email the teacher, ask them, you know, I've been going on, I've been checking, what's going on? They can give you insight onto how your child is or is not doing. Okay, now, and again, you have that option here to switch between your marking periods, right? So you see, I can go from marking period 1 to marking period 2, marking period 3. I can print it. So if I'm at work and, you know, my mom's at work and I've given my mother some story about what I'm doing or not doing, she can go to work and she can look at my stuff and she can print it out and she can go, oh, really, Kelly? And she can hand me the piece of paper and say, I don't think so. Or you can log on together and look at it together, especially for your younger students that you're trying to kind of teach them to be accountable for themselves. Not like it's a, you know, great Friday night activity, but maybe once a week, sit down and kind of check the portal and see, you know, how are you doing? And if they're noticing that maybe a teacher entered something wrong or they have a question about why they got a grade, it's a great opportunity to teach them how to communicate with their teachers and ask those questions. What could I have done differently? Why did I get the 64 on that assignment? It teaches them those skills they're going to need when they get to college to be successful. Okay, the last tab is assessments. If you are on your portal and you click on it, if you had state test scores, so if you're only a 7th grader this year, you're not going to have anything there. And if you're an 8th grader this year, you're not going to have anything there because we didn't have the state assessments last year. If you're a high school student, any exam that you took is going to list there. the name of the exam and the score you got, and it's every single exam you've taken. So if you were not strong in a subject and your child had to take the Algebra 1 region multiple times, all the Algebra 1 regions will be there with all of the scores. The only one that will show up on the transcript is the highest score. All right, and then now we're kind of at the end of this PowerPoint, so questions that you guys have or anything that I forgot, any of the panelists feel free to join in.
Ms. Rivera, I just want to clarify, when you say all test scores will be reported on the assessment tabs, you mean state test scores, right? Not just a test from math class, but a test that is given generally at the end of the year or in January during Regents time.
Yes. Yes, so it's your region exams. Your nicest, I think your nicest slot, that stuff will be on there also. Your state assessments will be linked through there as far as like 7th grade ELA, math, the 8th grade science, in a year where we had the exam. So this year, you're going to notice when you look at your child's assessment tab, for any regions that they would have taken last year, they're going to have an E, which was the code that the state gave us to exempt students because they canceled regions and they didn't want to harm students. It was a no harm policy, right? So because of COVID and we couldn't give these exams, we didn't want students to have to struggle and have to retake these exams at a different point. As long as they did their work and passed the course, they were able to pass with an exemption. Any student that does not have the E from last year, that means that they did not pass the course. So if they did not receive a 65 or higher in the course for their final average, they would not have received the exemption.
Thanks, Ms. Rivera. I just want to add that we started on the Valley Stream Central High School District website, and that, although the initials are difficult to remember, the website just does stand for the initials of Valley Stream Central High School District.org. And it's a great starting place for many of the things that you're going to want to know. For the contact information, if you prefer a phone call, for the different schools, for the guidance department, for copies of the calendar, the reopening plan, any athletic information might get posted there. There are links on the right-hand side, there are links on the top, and all of those links provide valuable information for you for questions that you might have that you're not sure what the answer is and someone didn't get back to you right away. Just check out and kind of play around. And as Ms. Rivera said, she's put together a series of presentations and you can find those all on the website too. So if you weren't able to join us last month when we did a Microsoft Teams introduction, but you'd like to learn more about Microsoft Teams and see how you can help support your child, you can go back to the website. Ms. Rivera is showing you now where to find it. It's under the Parent-Student tab at the top, Parent-Student Forums, and all the way at the bottom, and you'll see the recordings and the PowerPoint presentations.
And you'll also see there's a description of the workshop. So if you didn't miss it or you weren't aware of what it was, you can kind of look here. The question about the bell schedule, if you click on this tab with the school reopening, here's your bell schedule. And it's got, I'm sorry, my computer's a little slow. Let's hope it loads. It's got your hybrid in-person schedule, as well as your hybrid at home remote schedule. And it also tells you when your extra help is available. So like Dr. DeMeo said, there is an endless supply of resources on this website. Another thing you may want to notice, I often get a question for, if you're having an issue with your technology, request IT support. You click there and you can request IT support. If you want the contact information for your counselors, there's all the contact information for all the counselors in the district. It's a little off center, but there it is. You can also go from the district site to the specific school sites, depending on the school your child's in, select your school, and you'll see that there's there's your school daily and bell schedule also.
So there's a question in the chat about assignments and where can I see assignment due dates and missing assignments. Teachers will enter the assignments into the grade book. So you won't necessarily see the due date, you'll see the graded product. And if your child is missing the assignment, you can expect to see a 0 listed there. But if you have concerns about a specific class and you want more information than waiting for the grade book to provide you with that, then you should definitely reach out to your child's teacher to ask those kinds of questions.
And Dr. DeMayo, you know, if they look on that, there is a due date listed in that detailed view of each subject.
But I think the parent is probably looking for a little bit more proactive, figuring out when the assignments are due so that they can help their child. If the teacher inputs the assignments before they're due, you'll see the anticipated due date. But if the teacher records the grades after the assignment is already due, that wouldn't help you.
Yes.
And then there's a question also, are teachers able to send anecdotes more regularly when students are falling behind via this portal or regular email? Teachers are definitely able to contact families using email or phone or whatever method the teacher prefers. If you're having trouble with that, you should reach out to the teacher individually. We want all of our teachers and we want our families to feel comfortable communicating with our school, with our staff. So if you feel like you need more information, please reach out so that it can be provided to you.
And I also do want to say, you know, we're a 7 to 12 district. And depending what building you're in, once you hit 9th grade, 10th grade, teachers are not going to reach out to you every time a child hasn't done an assignment. They're going to try to start, you know, reaching out to your child, have your child complete that. There needs to be, while teachers need to communicate absolutely 100%, there needs to be ownership on the child's part as well. So if you're talking about a student in the upper grades, you will notice the teachers are not communicating with you as regularly as they had in 7th and 8th grade. Part of that is due to the expectation that as students get older, they get more responsible in their studies. And while that's not true for every student, if you feel like Dr. DeMayo said that you're not getting the communication that you need, absolutely 100% reach out to a teacher. They will gladly have any conversation with you about your child's successes or their struggles. Are there any other questions? Dr. DeMayo?
No, I think that's it. The same question. There is a question now that just came up. Can you repeat the assignment again? So teachers input the grades for the assignments after they're graded. Some teachers will input anticipated assignments and an anticipated due date, but not all will do that. So it's not something that you can consistently depend upon. So if you have questions about assignments, if you'd like more information about what your child owes, or if your child is falling behind, you should contact the individual teacher. If your child does not turn in an assignment, you should expect to see a 0 or a failing grade in that column, indicating that they haven't turned in the assignment.
And I don't know if any other panelists, you know, working in the buildings with students on a day-to-day basis want to add anything about the parent portal or ways that you've seen it be helpful to families or with students.
Save your passwords. Write them down. Save your passwords.
I agree. That seems to always be the biggest concern and question that kind of comes our way from both the student and the parent.
And I also think it's important, just as it's good for parents to be on top of the parent portal and checking the grades, but also encouraging your child to do the same thing, like Ms. Whitney Rivera was saying, getting in the habit, because when they get in the older grades, it is, you know, their responsibility. We're preparing them for life after high school. So having both of you, you know, we tell the students, you know, your parents have their own account, but you should also be monitoring just the same.
Well, the other thing you guys need to realize, and I know this is going to sound really harsh, regardless of you paying for the bill when they go to college, the college will not speak to you. So if you call about grades, they're not answering you. So it's better to use the parent portal as like that secret person, you know, the neighborhood woman, that watch committee that always tells you what everyone's doing, right? That's the portal. It's for you to kind of go on and see behind the scenes, what are your kids up to? Right? Trusting them in front, hey, you're doing your grades, you're doing what you're supposed to, but having that safety net of being able to log on and see, are they really doing what they're supposed to be doing? And if they're not, sitting down and saying, look, these are the skills you need to start getting because you need to be successful. And I'm not always, while I'll always defend you and I'll always support you, I'm not always going to be able to help you in this area. You need to learn this also for yourselves.
Also, once you set up your account, I would encourage you to log in regularly for at least the first 2 weeks, because once you establish that pattern, that will help you recall the process, how to get on, how to remember your passcode, and you're also modeling for your kids then. They'll have an increased awareness. Mom, dad, whoever's taking care of us at home, they know what's going on. They have a way of checking in. And once the kids get a sense of that, it's a really great way to model for them how to self-monitor, and the self-monitoring lends off to that later development of keeping themselves in check when they are on their own and they're in college.
And the question in the chat, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone knows, the exclamation mark in place of a grade means that it hasn't been turned in. So if there's a red exclamation point, it's saying that, it's been collected, but that child has not turned that assignment in, I believe.
It also could mean that the teacher just hasn't graded the assignment yet. So that's where you want to communicate. If the date is ahead of, if the assignment date is ahead of now, it might not be graded, it might not be turned on.
Okay, as always, I want to thank all of you for joining us. I want to thank all of the panelists for joining us and taking the time to just, be an active part of this partnership that we have for all of our students to be successful. I wish you all a happy new year. And I hope that we will all leave this virtual world soon and start seeing each other in person. Have a wonderful night.